Hi y'all, welcome to the Craft Table Podcast. My name's Tori. This is the first iteration of this podcast in video format. There's quite a few episodes on Spotify and Anchor if you're interested that are in audio, but I am trying a different format to see how this goes. If you'd like to see what I'm working on, any updates, or you'd like to ask me anything or any questions, you can find me at the Making app and Instagram at the Craft Table Podcast, or you could send me an email if that's something you prefer, and that's gonna be the Craft Table Podcast at gmail.com. So those are the options that you have to reach out to me or see what I'm working on. I just wanna, before we get started, I wanna do like a little quick update because the last episode was quite a few months back, and it was also the episode right before the hiatus. So I went on hiatus a little bit because there was a lot going on in my personal life. I'm not going to get into too much of it, but there still is quite a bit going on, but I feel like I'm in a place where I could kind of consistently have something like this going on because we're getting ready to go into the Fiber Festival season. Maryland Sheep and Wool will be having their 49th year in person. I will be going, and that's in the first weekend of May. And I've been working with quite a bit of my hand spun and making hand spun. So I definitely am feeling the creative bug again. So I just wanted to start the podcast again and get this going so that I could share anything new or anything interesting or answer any questions you might have. So if you have questions, feel free to send those to me as well. I would love to answer anything if I can, or we could work through stuff together. This is primarily a podcast focused on fiber and knitting and spinning. I'm not sure. This is the tricky part. I love spinning and it's definitely captured my heart, but I started crocheting first. And I haven't gone back to crocheting since I learned knitting. And knitting is pretty consistent, so I can't quite say if I'm a knitter who spins or a spinner who knits. I know that there's quite a bit of like discourse in this in the community and how people respond to it. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not really sure how to, where I sit. I just know that I really enjoy spinning and all of it comes with, and knitting, and I'm primarily talking about the spinning part of it because I think that gives a lot of education to our craft and the crafts that we have. So that's kind of a little bit about what this podcast is going to be if you're new here, or this is the first time that you're listening or watching or whichever. You can also feel free to let me know if you would prefer, if you're a returning viewer, if you still want me to be spinning primarily, or if you want to hear the sound of the spinning going in the background, because I did recently oil my wheel, but it still does the really beautiful ASMR-esque click-clacking of the pedal and the wheel turning. So just let me know if you have any opinions or thoughts. I also want to preface this before I get into the meat of the episode. You may or may not hear quite a bit of puppy or cat inner movement. Maggie is on the couch behind this camera. I've done a lot of moving around of my furniture lately, so the couch is in my view. So she's on the other end, so if you hear her moving around, I apologize. And I have two tiny cats that sound like elephants, and you may see them run up and down the stairs. They're very sweet, but they are very noisy, and the house is silent, so I can't really hide those noises. This is an old house that echoes. So I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm just going to let you know what's happening. If you do hear any noises, it is most likely the 75-pound animal or the two tiny cats. So with that being said, I would love to start talking about what I'm currently spinning. I actually, in the last few weeks, got out the Finn fleece. And for those who don't know, I had purchased a Finn fleece from Rhinebeck 2021. It was my first fleece barn sale purchase. however you want to call it. My first fleece I bought from Nistock Farms, which I highly, highly, highly recommend. Couldn't recommend it more. She's a wonderful shepherdess. She really cares about her sheep, and she does all of the skirting and prepping of the sheep herself, and they're coated. It's great. I got an uncoated, I think it was like a lamb fleece actually, or at least the first fleece from that sheep. So in the Rhinebeck purchase, and it is a Finn sheep, so it's considered technically a medium to long wool. And when I washed it, there was little to no lanolin. It was very weird because the previous there's a cat. The previous fleece I had purchased was a fine fleece, medium to fine to medium, and the lanolin was insane. Like, you can still feel the lanolin despite my scouring in some of the skeins that I made from that. So I'm not sure how that'll work up in the project that I have in mind for it, or how it's gonna feel several wears in. I just know that there's a distinct difference between this particular fleece and the one that I originally learned on. And honestly, who knows if that lanolin texture is my fault as I was learning. I could not tell you. I don't have enough experience. But I did start washing this fleece in earnest, my Finn fleece, a couple weekends ago. So I've been doing batches in the sink just because I don't really want to do it all at once. I like to go slowly through the process, and I definitely like to wash everything back to back. So like, I have a tiny kitchen sink, so I'm just doing batches that will fit in the sink or in a tub in the sink, and then letting it air dry before starting the next batch. So I'm not washing bits and pieces months from each other. I'm hoping to have it all done by the end of May, just because I have a feeling it might take a little bit longer. But with that being said, I am taking the dry fleece and I'm starting to card it. I just want to show some of my tools before I get started talking, because I think it's important to share this, and this is kind of why I went into the video format, or had been debating it before I started this while I was starting the podcast. But I talk so much about certain elements that I'd like to give you a visual of it. But I didn't intend to be, but I definitely am an Ashford owner in this house. There's plenty of other companies. I think they're all great. I just have I love aesthetic. I just love it. And I am very much a granny at heart. I love cozy grandma core-esque things. Not cottagecore, grandma core. Love that. And so I actually went with an Ashford traditional spinning wheel. So I might, if you're interested, I could do a small tour of that. Just let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. But they're very easy to find online. If you look up Ashford traditional spinning wheel, that's what I have. It's brand new. I bought it during the pandemic, still pandemic, 2020, June 2020, from the Spinnery up in just a little bit outside of Trenton, New Jersey. She's in Frenchtown, a little ways from like New Hope area, if anyone's familiar with that part of Pennsylvania / southern New Jersey. She's got a wonderful shop. I highly, highly, highly recommend you check her out. She's got tons of tools. She fixes up things. I could not speak more highly of the woman who owns that shop and that shop. So that's where I got my wheel. Is brand new. She'd already built it for me, and it had been on the floor for a little while as like a demo piece. So, but really there was no one touching it, just because, again, it's the pandemic and it was summer of 2020. So I did splurge and get myself a brand new wheel. I adore it. It is a single treadle, single drive wheel. I know some people prefer the double because that gives you more, I guess it gives you more variety, but I I just really love the appeal of the standard spinning wheel. It's the compact ones are great. The castle wheels are great. They have their own uniqueness, but I just love the look of a traditional spinning, a Saxony style spinning wheel. So that's what I went with. And then for my hand carders, because I am carding this fleece, I didn't have enough money for a drum carder. That'll probably be a purchase later down the road. I don't know. We'll see. I definitely, there's a certain appeal to hand carding for me and the slowness of it. So I don't know if I would enjoy a drum carder, but who knows? I also said I would never spin, and I thought it was dumb. So here I am with a podcast about spinning. So my wheel is from Ashford, which is in New Zealand, and I also bought the student-sized hand. You can kind of see the floof already. I've been working quite a bit every night, but this is just one of the two that I have of the student Ashford hand carders. Very simple, not too crazy. It wouldn't be great with silk. Like, it's definitely for medium to coarser fibers. There are special hand carders you can get for different types of fiber content and delicate different things. I just went with the student hand carders because they're nice and big, and it is advertised rather as a tool that is good if you're just starting out, hence the name, the student hand carder. And so I didn't know if I would enjoy it or not, or what, so I just had purchased these bad boys. They were $75, I believe, at a little local yarn shop down the road from me. I live in southern New Jersey, I should say, and with this being the Garden State, as well as this being the most populous state, I believe, in the US, it has a lot of options for yarn stores and farms and all sorts of things. So I have a huge selection that maybe I'm originally from Central Texas. I know I wouldn't have that selection back home. So I am very fortunate, and so if you can't find a store that has them, I know that you can order them from the places like the Woolery online and stuff. But I definitely recommend these bad boys if you're starting out and you can't afford a drum carder. It's a great tool. I use them nightly when I'm processing the fleece that I'm working on and the previous fleece that I had. Great, love it. The only thing I would have to say is that I've noticed it's a little bit difficult to card straight from the lock with the fin fleece, and I'll show you why now. I have a tiny table. I have a little gossip table / chair, so I've got everything off to the side of me. But here is just a washed sample of the fleece. It's primarily black with some brown sun bleach tips, light gray, and there is a little bit of white, not in this bundle that I picked up, but I'm just gonna show you how curly-Q these little fibers are. So you can kind of see the curl in them, and they're very short. Like this is my biggest gripe about this fleece. It's not even like maybe an inch and a half. It's not very long staple length, and I don't think I would purchase another fleece that has less than an inch and a half, 2 inches of staple length with this kind of curl, or crimp rather, I should say crimp, with this kind of crimp, because it's very hard to open up those locks when they're that tiny and that compact. So it is kind of like, it's a little tedious and it's a little difficult, and it definitely slows me down a lot more than the previous fleece that I had, which didn't have a whole lot of crimp, and it was very blocky, and it was great. Loved it. wonderful first fleece. Could not say more things about it. Like, it's just great. So hand carding has been a little slow, and it's made me a little sad because I've been loving actually spinning this fleece, shockingly enough, despite how much I've talked poorly about it in previous videos. It's extremely soft. So soft, like softer than some merino that I've like played with and knit with and touched. And so I've been doing, once I get those locks opened, I end up with these little Rolags that are not very uniform. They're very soft and they've got a lot of air in them, which makes them very lofty and great for woolen spinning. But I am doing a short forward, so not really woolen, but it's a woolen prep, and it's really soft and airy and wonderful, and I love to spin from my own Rolags. Do not like spinning from compact Rolags that dyers make, just because it's not as fun. I just don't like it as much. I don't know why. There's just a difference between your own Rolags and I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I just know I personally like it, and it's definitely, I definitely would not be purchasing Rolags. I will make them, but I will not purchase them. So I've been making Rolags and then spinning it on my wheel, and I've been doing it in piecemeal, so little bits at a time. I'll do a little bit of carding, and then I'll sit at the wheel. I'll run out of Rolags, go back and do some more carding, come back to the wheel. I just am too excited to spin. It's just been really great. It's been very smooth. It's been very thin. I love it. It's wonderful. I'm hoping for a fingering weight to sport. I'm not really picky. I'm just going with the flow. This is kind of like the spin that I need. I'm not being very strict with it. Whatever happens. Whatever weight it ends up being is the weight that it is. I don't really care. I will find a project for it. I'm not fussed about it. It's just it's helping me. It's kind of giving me some comfort in a very difficult time right now. So I'm not being super fussy or precious about it. I definitely am looking forward to getting through it and making my first skein and seeing how that looks washed up. But I don't have any like grand plans or any like special things about it. I'm just going with the flow. So that's been really nice, and I've really enjoyed it. And that's probably what I'm going to be spinning on for quite some time. And I'm a slow crafter, and I really am enjoying this project, so I'm going to savor it. So and I only have one wheel, so that's going to be the project I'm spinning on for the foreseeable future. And then I did, during the hiatus, finish spinning I think it was like 14 ounces of Corriedale alpaca and silk bats. Oh, you can see a tiny little tail. Right there. Tiny little tail. I did spin up some bats, and it's all natural colors, so it's brown and white barber pole. I purposely spun it bulky. I have a basket right over here. Let me pull that out for you, and I can show you one of the skeins. I only have a couple skeins. It's not a whole lot, so I don't think I can make an actual project, like a full garment, just because I am plus size, and that you need a significant amount of yarn regardless. So yeah, it was just that. But who knows? Maybe I'll be able to make a garment or something, like a cropped garment or something. But it definitely, let me just slip out of frame. It definitely is, let me get up closer. You can kind of see what I mean by bulky, and the barber poling. It's pretty extreme. The alpaca was tan, that brown color, and the Corriedale and the silk are the white. And it is a little bit lanolin-y in places. It was drum carded by someone here in South Jersey, about like 30 minutes from me. It's just a little old Swedish woman who lives here now, and this is like her hobby that she does. And I bought this at the New Jersey Sheep and Wool in September. So this was my purchase there, and I've now spun it up. It was really fun, really great. Went very quickly because it is bulky, and I had to be very mindful of that because I do spin thin, or fine rather. So it took some very dedicated spinning time and not so much like checking out at the wheel. But I like it. It's interesting. I don't typically go for barber pole, but I'm not mad at it. It was a great project. Took some time when I needed it. I haven't really spun anything else. I did spin 4 ounces of Romney, a dark brown, which is on a tiny, I'm forgetting the name, a Nitty Noddy. There you go. On a little 1 yard Nitty Noddy that my good friend who lives in my town with me, gifted me when she was getting rid of her spinning equipment. So it's very much farm yarn. There's still like bits and pieces of vegetable matter here and there, but it is a 2-ply. Oh, I should say the that skein I just showed you was also a 2-ply, but it's a 2-ply, very thin. I haven't washed it yet, so I don't know if it'll bloom, but right now it's like a lace to fingering, light fingering. Probably 300 yards at best, not a whole lot. I had very little fiber loss. I used pretty much everything that was in that. It wasn't braided, it was just like in a bundle. So yeah, I bought it when I bought the carders, the little hand carders, just as like a quick like spin. So I don't know what I'll do with it. It's just sitting here. I have to wash it. I am putting the fleece washing as a higher priority than this, especially since I don't have anything lined up for this. So that was it. I haven't really spun anything else. I haven't been feeling great. I'm finally starting to get a little bit of creative juice going, predominantly because I have really great team of doctors who are helping me right now. So kudos to them and the meds. That's definitely been helpful. So my crafting mojo has been a little slow until very recently. So my spinning has kind of sat in hiatus, especially because I was finishing my data science boot camp and getting a new job. So, but I did do quite a bit of knitting. I finished quite a few projects in hiatus. I didn't finish any hand spun projects. I finished all commercial or indie dyed projects, and I have another indie dyed project going right now that I'm trying to finish before Maryland Sheep and Wool because I'd like to wear it there. But I don't know if that's something you guys would be interested in seeing, just because this is a primarily, I want to focus on hand spun and making your own yarn. But if that's something you're interested in, if you'd like to see my projects that are not hand spun, just let me know. I'm happy to share. I'm not fussed about it. I just want to gauge what you guys would be interested in. So that's what I've been spinning and what I've been processing. I am definitely really happy to be processing stuff and getting my hands in the wool and the sheep smells. My cats love it. My dog finds it fun, and I've really enjoyed it. Oh, you know what? I'm not done yet. It literally only needs a collar or the neckband. But I know that I've mentioned briefly that, or not briefly, but quite in detail in previous episodes of the podcast, that I was knitting my first hand spun sweater out of fiber, hand dyed fiber from Spindalicious, who is phenomenal. Could not recommend her more. She's got beautiful stuff, and she really puts a lot of care into her products. So definitely recommend her. She, I think, is back from her spring break, and she does shop updates every Friday. Could not recommend her enough. Her stuff goes quickly, so you want to be there on the dot. I probably shouldn't say that because I want all the fiber, but just to be honest, it does go quickly, but it's worth it. So I had bought 4 braids of fiber from her that were 2 Targhee non-super, this is all non-superwash, so 2 Targhee fiber braids in this like mauvey color called Pressed Flowers, and then I bought 2 braids of fiber that were Polworth silk blends, and that was also non-superwash, but I only got 1 of each color in that, so I ended up knitting the Nordiska by Caitlin Hunter. It's something that I've been eyeballing for years and really wanted. I literally just have the neckband, but I'll show it to you anyways because this is the only other handspun project I kind of have right now. I just need to get up the nerve to pick up the neckband. I'm just dragging my feet because I want simple, mindless knitting in the round, which that project I mentioned briefly to you is a summer top that is knit in the round mindlessly. So that's kind of where my attention has been going. But here it is. It's kind of just, I've got the sleeves here. You do see, like, you can definitely tell it's hand spun, just from all the striping and stuff. But here it is. This is one sleeve. Just the color work just pops. I love it. It makes me so happy. I probably need to lengthen the sleeves, but we'll see after I wash because Targhee notoriously grows once wet. So that's kind of where we're at. So hopefully I can just kind of fuss it and block it out and make it a little bit longer. And then the bottom of the sweater, it's cropped. I did it to the measurements and schematics of the pattern plus another inch. I bound off in the body needle, the I think it was like a size 5, yeah, size 4 or 5. I bound off in that for all of the bind off and ribbing, just because I want it to be a little bit like baggier and flowier. I don't want to like bring it in at all I want to be able to wear this over stuff and have it layered and kind of just be nice and flowy, which is like kind of where a lot of my wardrobe is going, loose and flowy and comfortable, especially working from home now. So I really enjoyed it. I'm a little worried about the fit, but like I said, Targhee grows exponentially, and I've actually had a superwash Targhee cardigan grow 3 times the size it was supposed to be. I'm not kidding. It is affectionately called my house coat. I adore it, but it definitely grew quite a bit in the wash. So I'm trying not to be too crazy about this. It is non-superwash, so it's not going to be as extensive in growth when I block it, but there is a possibility of it still doing that. So I'm just waiting to see. I'm gonna pick up the neckband and then wash it and weave in my ends, and hopefully it'll fit the way that I want it to. Right now the fit is okay, but I definitely want to block it and get the sleeves a little bit longer. And yeah, so that's kind of the only spinning project that I finished. Or not finished. I can't even say it's finished because it's not. Also, my dog is being so cute behind the camera. Hi, Maggie. But so this is the only knitting project that I have finished in handspun. I do have one project in mind for my other fleece and contrast color I spun from Spindelicious, who has beautiful pinks. Not gonna lie, love them. But that is going to be an Azor cardigan. It's actually a top-down sweater, but I'm going to make it a cardigan. I'm going to steek it. So that is definitely on the queue. I'm busting my butt I'm trying not to curse. I curse pretty heavily, but I'm going to try and not do that because this is going on YouTube. But I'm looking that way because that's where my desk is, my office. But the top that I'm working on is the only project I'm currently knitting on. So once that's completed, I'll then pick up to the next handspun project. But I really only knit one project at a time. I don't really, I'm very much a monogamous knitter, and it just helps me get stuff going and off the needles. So not the best for podcasting, but definitely the best for me and my speed. I like to savor my knits, and that's kind of like the whole thing about slow fashion. So that's just what I've been working on. Not too crazy, nothing too outlandish. I am very proud of my sweater, my handspun sweater. It needs to get done and finished. But I'm not feeling too much pressure to do that because we are now officially in spring and in the Northeast, and it's not gonna get cold anytime soon. So I'll finish it probably sometime in the summer. I know I'm gonna drag my feet. It's okay. It's okay. Stuff happens. It's fine. I'm not trying to push myself to finish anything. So that's what I've been working on. What I've been spinning and things like that. If you have anything that you want to talk about or anything you want to hear me talk about or go in depth on, let me know. If you want to see anything or see the process of stuff that I'm working on, like how to wash a fleece or how to card a fleece, feel free to let me know and I will happily record that for you. I think it's so important to see stuff because sometimes it's hard to comprehend what's being written without pictures or videos and things like that. So I'm definitely on board with doing that if that's something you guys are interested in. But this is just a bit of an experiment. And if it doesn't work out, or if the video just doesn't seem to be jiving with everybody, it's a really easy thing to just go back to audio. So yeah, just let me know how you're feeling about things, or if you want to see certain stuff from me. I'm happy to do it within reason. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've been working on. I would love to hear what you guys are working on. If you want to share down in the comments, I'd love to hear if you're weaving anything, because I definitely am eyeballing some lap looms. There's a creator on Instagram who has a shop with resin looms that are beautiful, and I'm just kind of like, maybe. So if you're doing any weaving, I'd love to hear about it. Or if you're spinning on any big projects, again, love to hear about it. I don't think I might have another episode before Maryland Sheep and Wool, but if you're going to Maryland Sheep and Wool and I don't have another podcast until then, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. This is not the first in-person fiber festival since the beginning of the pandemic, but it definitely is the first of the year in person for me in my area. So I'm really excited and looking forward to it, and I'm sure a lot of other people are too. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts and if you're doing anything fun, or if you're going to, I know the New Jersey Fiber Shed is going to have a barn crawl, and I'm probably going to do that. So like there's things in our communities happening because of spring. This is the time to shear sheep. If you have a fleece that you're looking forward to. I know Nistock Farm today is, I believe, the 12th, and Nistock Farm will be putting her listings for her fleeces on the 14th. So if you want to reserve a fleece, like, this is the time. Highly recommend it, and her prices are very reasonable for coated fleeces by the pound. So yeah, I would just love to hear kind of what's going on in your guys' lives and what you're working on. It's always fun to hear from other people, especially since we're all socially distanced still, and I'm sure a lot of our crafting circles and groups aren't as thriving at the moment. I will be back. I just don't know when, probably in the next few weeks. If not, I will see you after Maryland Sheep and Wool. I'll definitely have a podcast episode then, just to talk about it and share my experience. But in the meantime, I hope you guys have a really good rest of your week, that you enjoy the warm weather here in the Northeast if you're here in the Northeast, that you relax and are gentle to yourself and kind to yourself in this time. And I look forward to talking to you next time. Bye.